The world does not care about your excuses, and the universe does not pause for your pain. You are standing on the edge of a vast, silent ocean of time, and your entire existence is but a single drop hitting the surface. Most people spend their lives building monuments to their own comfort, only to realize at the end that they never actually lived. They were merely waiting for a permission slip from a world that had already forgotten their names. If you died tonight, the clock on the wall would keep ticking, and the sun would rise without a second of hesitation. This is the hard truth. No one is coming to save you, and no one is going to hand you the life you dream of. You are the architect of your own prison, or the king of your own empire, and the choice is made in the silence of this very moment. Stop looking for shortcuts in a world built on the foundation of struggle and sacrifice. The greats did not become legends by seeking ease. They became legends by seeking the fire and walking through it. Today, we look into the souls of the giants who built the foundation of human thought and will. Listen closely, because these words are not just history. They are the blueprints for your survival and your eventual triumph. The courage to know nothing, the wisdom of Socrates. In the heart of ancient Athens, a man stood before a jury of 500, facing a sentence of death for the crime of asking questions. Socrates did not beg for his life, nor did he offer gold to buy his freedom from those who feared his mind. He stood tall and told them that a life without self-reflection was not a life worth living for a human being. He knew that the greatest enemy of progress is not ignorance, but the illusion of knowledge that keeps us stagnant. You think you know who you are, but you are merely a collection of habits handed down to you by people as lost as you. You claim to want success, but you cannot even define what a successful soul looks like in the mirror. Socrates reminds us that the beginning of all greatness is the humble admission that we are currently incomplete. Every time you pretend to be more than you are, you kill the possibility of becoming who you were meant to be. The anecdote of the Delphic oracle proves that the wisest man is the one who realizes his own limitations. When the oracle named Socrates the wisest, he spent his life trying to prove the oracle wrong, searching for someone wiser. He found only people who were experts in vanity, pretending to hold truths they had never even bothered to examine. You are doing the same thing every day when you scroll through the lives of others instead of auditing your own. You are terrified of the silence because in the silence, the truth of your inadequacy begins to scream. But it is in that scream that the warrior is born, because only the broken can be truly forged into something unbreakable. Stop seeking the approval of the masses, for the masses are often wrong and almost always fearful. Socrates drank the hemlock with a steady hand because he knew that his integrity was more valuable than his breath. Would you be willing to die for the person you are today? Or is that person a stranger you don't even like? True motivation is not a pat on the back. It is the cold realization that you have been sleeping while your life is burning. Wake up and question every chain you have allowed society to wrap around your potential. The unexamined life is a slow suicide, but the examined life is the birth of a god among men. The ascent from the shadows, the vision of Plato. Imagine a group of prisoners chained in a dark cave since childhood, facing a wall where shadows dance in the flickering light. They believe those shadows are reality. They name them. They compete for prizes based on who can predict the shadows best. One prisoner breaks free, climbs the jagged rocks, and stumbles into the blinding, painful light of the sun. He sees the world as it truly is, the trees, the stars, the source of all life, and he realizes he was living in a lie. This is the story of your life. You are currently staring at the shadows of social media, status, and material gain. You think the likes and the temporary hits of dopamine are the substance of reality, but they are merely flickering ghosts. Plato teaches us that the physical world is just a reflection of a higher realm of ideals and perfection. Your job is not to get better at watching the shadows, but to have the strength to turn your head and climb out. The climb is not easy. It will cut your hands, it will burn your eyes, and your old friends in the cave will mock you. They will call you crazy because they cannot see the sun you have seen, and they fear the light you now carry. Relatability lies in your own hesitation to change, your own fear that the real world is too demanding for you. You stay in the cave because it is warm and familiar, even though you know deep down it is a tomb. Plato's Republic reminds us that the soul has three parts: desire, spirit, and reason, and most of you are slaves to desire. You are a chariot pulled by two horses. One is noble and seeks the heavens, the other is base and seeks the mud. If you do not master the reins of reason, the horse of desire will drag you into the abyss of your own making. Motivation is the act of aligning your spirit with your reason to suppress the appetites that keep you weak. The anecdote of the ring of Gyges asks, would you be a good person if you could be invisible and get away with any crime? Most people are only good because they are afraid of being caught. The legend is the one who is good in the dark. Character is what you do when the cave is empty and the shadows have disappeared into the night. Build your internal republic today, and let no lower desire overthrow the king that sits upon the throne of your mind. The master of habit, the ethics of Aristotle. Aristotle walked the halls of the Lyceum, teaching that excellence is not an act, but a habit we perform daily. He did not believe in sudden bursts of inspiration. He believed in the slow, grinding process of becoming. We are what we repeatedly do, and if you are repeatedly lazy, you are a lazy person, regardless of your potential. Potential is a curse if it is never realized. It is a ghost that will haunt you on your deathbed. Aristotle spoke of the golden mean, the narrow path between the extremes of deficiency and excess. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mean between being a coward and being a reckless fool. You fail because you swing like a pendulum between doing nothing and trying to do everything all at once. You wait for the perfect moment to start, but Aristotle knows that the moment is created by the movement itself. Consider the anecdote of the archer. A master does not hit the bullseye by luck, but by thousands of missed shots. Each failure is a calibration, a data point that brings the arrow of your soul closer to the center of your purpose. You are too afraid of missing the target that you never even pull the string of the bow. Relatability is found in your procrastination. You call it planning, but Aristotle calls it a vice of deficiency. The highest human good is eudaimonia, a flourishing of the soul that comes from exercising your highest virtues. It is not happiness in the way we think of it today. It is not a smile. It is the roar of a lion who has conquered himself. You were born with a specific function, just as a knife is meant to cut and a shield is meant to protect. If you do not fulfill your function, you are a dull blade, useless to the world and a burden to yourself. Sharpen your mind through logic, strengthen your body through discipline, and refine your heart through friendship. Real friends are not those who entertain your vices, but those who demand the highest version of you at all times. Do not settle for a life of good enough when the peak of your human potential is visible from where you stand. Excellence is a choice you make every morning when your feet hit the floor. Make it with conviction. The mastery of time. The Stoicism of Seneca. Seneca was one of the richest men in Rome, yet he spent his nights sleeping on a hard mat to remind himself of his mortality. He knew that wealth is a shadow that can vanish in a heartbeat, but the wealth of the mind is eternal. His greatest warning to us is that we do not have a short time to live, but we waste a lot of it. We are frugal with our money, yet we are incredibly wasteful with the only thing we can never earn back, time. You give your hours away to people you don't like and tasks that don't matter, as if you have 1,000 years in the bank. You live as if you are destined to live forever, and you postpone your greatness for a later that may never arrive. Seneca tells the anecdote of the man who spends his whole life preparing for life, only to find that life has passed him by. He is like a traveler who spends so much time packing his bags that he misses the ship entirely. Relatability hits when you realize you've spent the last hour staring at a screen, consuming the lives of others. You are a voyeur of existence instead of a participant in it, and Seneca would look at you with profound pity. He teaches us premeditatio malorum, the practice of imagining the worst-case scenarios so they lose their power over us. If you are afraid of losing your job, your status, or your comfort, imagine they are already gone. What remains? Your character remains. Your ability to reason remains. Your will to survive remains. Motivation is the realization that since you could leave life right now, you must make this moment count. Do not be a slave to your emotions. They are like the weather, constantly changing and utterly outside your control. Instead, be the mountain that remains unmoved while the storm rages around its peak. Seneca's letters are a roadmap for the soul, teaching us that the wise man is self-sufficient and content. He does not need the applause of the crowd to know he is doing what is right. Stop waiting for the weekend, stop waiting for the holiday, and stop waiting for retirement to start being happy. Every day is a miniature lifetime. Live it with the urgency of a man who knows his execution is scheduled for dawn. The unconquerable will, the freedom of Epictetus. Epictetus was born a slave, his leg was broken by a cruel master, and he lived in poverty for much of his life. Yet, he was freer than the emperor of Rome because he mastered the one thing no one can take, his mind. He taught that we are not disturbed by things, but by the views which we take of them. A hardship is only a tragedy if you label it as such. Otherwise, it is simply an event to be managed. The anecdote of his broken leg is haunting. As his master twisted his limb, Epictetus calmly warned him it would break. When it snapped, he simply said, "Did I not tell you it would break?" without a hint of anger or resentment. You cry when your internet is slow or someone insults you on the street. while a slave found peace in physical agony. The handy manual or enchiridion tells us to distinguish between what is in our control and what is not. Your body, your property, your reputation. None of these are truly yours. They can be taken at any moment. Your opinions, your intentions, and your own actions. These are the only things that belong to you. If you tether your happiness to things outside your control, you are a slave, no matter how much money you have. Relatability is the anxiety you feel about the future and the regret you feel about the past. Epictetus would tell you that both are ghosts. The future hasn't happened and the past is a closed book. When you are insulted, remember that it is you who insults yourself by believing the words of power. A rock does not feel an insult. Be like the rock, and let the vitriol of the world wash over you. Motivation comes from the radical responsibility of knowing that your misery is your own choice. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a victim of your own untrained and undisciplined mind. Train your mind as a soldier trains for combat, for the world is a battlefield and your peace is the prize. Stand tall, shoulder your burden without complaint, and show the world what an unconquerable soul looks like. The path of the superior man, the order of Confucius. In the East, Confucius taught that greatness is found in the harmony of the self with the family and the state. He did not seek the isolation of the mountain. He sought the refinement of the human heart through ritual and duty. The superior man, the Junzi, is one who is slow to speak but quick to act on his principles. You talk a big game about your dreams, but your actions are those of a child who cannot even clean his own room. Confucius teaches that to put the world in order, we must first put the nation in order. To do that, we must put the family in order. And to put the family in order, we must first cultivate our own personal lives and rectify our hearts. The anecdote of the Lady of Mount Tai tells of a woman weeping by a grave because her family was killed by tigers. When asked why she stayed in such a dangerous place, she replied, "There is no oppressive government here." Confucius realized that the cruelty of man is often more terrifying than the beasts of the forest. Relatability is found in your desire for a better world while you refuse to be a better person to those around you. You want justice and change, but you treat your parents with disrespect and your friends with selfishness. Real motivation is the quiet discipline of doing your duty even when no one is watching and no one is clapping. The rectification of names means that a father should act like a father, and a leader should act like a leader. If you call yourself a student, then study. If you call yourself a worker, then work. Do not be a lie in human form. Filial piety is the foundation of all virtue. If you cannot honor your roots, your branches will never reach the sky. Success is not a destination. It is a way of walking the path with integrity and grace. Knowledge without practice is a burden, but practice without knowledge is a danger to everyone. Learn the rituals of greatness, the way you wake up, the way you speak, the way you treat the smallest task. Small wins lead to big victories, and a 1,000-mile journey begins with the single step of self-conquest. Become the pillar of your community, the rock upon which others can lean, and the light that guides the lost. The emperor's inner citadel, the resilience of Marcus Aurelius. The most powerful man on earth sat in a tent on the edge of the Roman frontier, writing to himself in the dark. Marcus Aurelius did not write his meditations for us. He wrote them to keep himself from breaking under the weight of an empire. He faced plagues, betrayals, and constant warfare, yet he never lost his sense of duty or his inner calm. He reminded himself daily that the obstacle is the way. That which stands in your path becomes the path. If you have a problem, that problem is the very tool you need to grow stronger and more resourceful. You complain about your struggles as if they are accidents, but they are actually the gym equipment for your soul. The anecdote of the imperial purple shows Marcus reminding himself that his royal robes were just sheep's wool dyed with snail juice. He stripped away the glamour of the world to see things as they truly were, temporary, fragile, and often meaningless. Relatability is the ego you carry, the way you think you are special because of your clothes or your job title. Marcus knew that in 100 years, both the emperor and the beggar would be nothing but dust and bones. This is not a depressing thought. It is the most liberating truth you will ever hear. If everything is temporary, then your fears are temporary, your failures are temporary, and the opinions of others are irrelevant. What matters is how you behave right now, in this heartbeat, in this theater of existence. Stop worrying about what people will say about you after you are gone. You won't be there to hear it. Focus on being a good man or a good woman today, for that is the only thing within your jurisdiction. Motivation is the realization that you have the power to retreat into your inner citadel at any moment. No one can touch your soul unless you give them the key. No one can make you angry unless you consent to it. Be like the promontory against which the waves continually break, but which stands firm and tames the fury of the water. You are the master of your own internal weather. Do not let the chaos of the world dictate your peace. The sun will set on your life very soon. Make sure that when it does, you can say you were a light in the dark. Your legacy is not what you leave behind in stone, but what you leave behind in the spirits of those you touched. Go now, and live as if you have been given a second chance, for that is exactly what this moment